That is Insatiable by the Violet Hour. You can find them online at thevioletourband.com. But this right here is the Fort Fights podcast on blogtalkradio.com. A lot of you probably recognize the voice. We used to talk about XFI. Now we're talking about Sore as Hell Entertainment. We are brought to you by todayinfortsmith.com. If you go to todayinfortsmith.com, you can click on the events page. You can find all kinds of information there about Sore as Hell Entertainment, about Fort Smith Fight Night coming up and the Veterans Benefit Concert. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. And there is a player there. There's an embedded player on the page. You can click play, and it will play this episode. Also, after this has already aired and the time has come and gone and it's past 7 or 8 p.m. tonight. Of course, it's 6 right now, 6:01 in the p.m. But after it's all said and done, you can stay on that page, todayinfortsmith.com, on the events page, and click play on that player at any time, and you can listen back to this podcast. And we're going to talk to a fighter from Booneville, Arkansas. She's making her debut this month. Well, we got 13 days left now. I keep thinking we're still in November, and we're not. We have passed November, even though it's about 80 degrees outside. And so we're going to talk to Cyia Oliver. She is going to make her debut in the cage at Fort Smith Fight Night. So we are brought to you by todayinfortsmith.com and presented by Sore as Hell Entertainment and the Sore as Hell Project. And the reason why I say Sore as Hell Project is because there's a whole lot more going on than just MMA. And we're gonna bring you more information about that at some point. We tried to talk to one of the assistant coaches out at Family Combat Fitness and a local MMA analyst, Clay Shackelford. I've been talking with him a little bit this week and wanted to see if I could get him to call in later. Also, United States Martial Arts Hall of Famer Gregory Squirrel. A lot of you know that name. I used to co-host a show, The Greg Squirrel Show, with Greg Squirrel on blogtalkradio.com. It's also been a few years since we did that, but we're going to try to get Greg Squirrel on, and I don't know the status of whether or not he's going to be the ring announcer for the event coming up on December 16th. But for right now, we're sponsored by Southern Trading and Pawn. That place is located at 4621 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, at the corner of Towson and Phoenix, where all the wrecks happen. There's a sushi place close by. If you're like me, you love Subway. I am not a paid spokesman for Subway, but I do love their food, and so you can go to Subway and get anything you want. Also, when you're at the corner of Towson and Phoenix, stop in at Southern Trading and Pawn. They've got some layaway stuff going on right now for Christmas that's out of this world, and I don't have the ad right in front of me. I probably should. I'm probably not a very good paid spokesperson at this point, but go to Facebook.com, type in Southern Trading and Pawn, and like that page and check it out. There's all kinds of deals, video games, jewelry, guns. There's all types of weapons there. And just a friendly reminder, if you want to go pawn or sell a weapon there, please make sure it's unloaded when you walk in. I was talking to my boy Vernon this week and saw on Facebook where someone had brought a loaded gun into the pawn shop and pointed it right at his face to try to sell it to him. That's terrible business. So be responsible with your weapons. Personally, I don't carry weapons and I don't like them. And so I don't have any on me. But if I did, I would want to be responsible. And I can already tell I'm going to have to turn my phone on because we've got people. I'm going to have to turn it down. We've got people listening live. We've got people sending feedback, shooting messages here. And that is actually a gentleman I just spoke about, Clay Shackelford. And so I'm going to shoot him. Our call-in number is 646 716, I'm saying it as I type it, 9526. And so that's the call-in number that's the guest call-in number for the Fort Fights podcast. Speaking of our sponsor, Southern Trading and Pawn, go see Vernon and the Pawn Shop Quartet. That's a little joke. Or call them at 479-434-4830. Southern Trading and Pawn, located at the corner of Towson and Phoenix. And once again, we are brought to you by todayinfortsmith.com. You can also, I would encourage everybody to get on Facebook, type in Today in Fort Smith, and go like that page. We bring you all the latest news, weather, and sports, only local. We are only local. just like the Fort Fights podcast, is local MMA. I'm not here to talk about UFC 218. Really don't care. Didn't even watch it. Not interested. What I'm interested in is Fort Smith Fight Night. That's coming up. Let me flip over. I've got the website here, soarashell.com. We've got a couple of things on the menu here. December 15th, Soar as Hell Entertainment presents the Veterans Benefit Concert. And we'll see bands like Brooke White and The Ritual and 357. That's going to be on Friday night, December 15th, 2017. That's this year. We're almost done with it. And that's going to be at the Fort Smith Convention Center, the same place we'll see the fights the following night. But this is going to be on Friday, December 15th, at the Convention Center. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. The concert begins at 7 p.m. If you need tickets, I'm going to tell you a few ways to get tickets. Way number one, call 479-653-8554. Way number two, call 479-251-0808. Or way number three, do what I'm doing, visit soarashell.com. And the first thing you'll see on the homepage is the Veterans Benefit Concert. There is a big button, a big box above the poster, and it says buy tickets. Okay? That's where you click. You click on that button, you buy tickets. This is going to be put on by Ward Brothers Roofing, Family Combat Fitness, and MMA. Shriner Insurance Agency, Metro PCS, and T-Mobile. Also, Old Ford Harley Davidson, come get you some off-road and performance. Kevin Clifton Real Estate, your local market experts. And Saki Sushi and Martini Bar, along with River Valley CrossFit. That's who's putting on the Veterans Benefit Concert on Friday, December 15th. Don't miss it. Now, the following night, this is the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes, the hair to my armpit, whatever you want to call it, folks. There's a million analogies we could use. Fort Smith Fight Night, December 16th at the Fort Smith Convention Center. Doors open at 6:30. Fights begin at 7 p.m. As far as I know, and I think we're hearing a little bit when we talk to Clay, I think we're going to get a little bit more information. He may have some information. I don't know yet. We're going to talk about tickets. As far as I know, we've got tickets still available at this time. We've got less than 2 weeks left before this thing all goes down. We have 13 days left. General admission, $30. Cage side, $50. VIP tables, I don't know if we have any of those left yet. But the way you can find out is to go to soarashell.com and select the tickets that you want to buy, okay? Personally, I'm all finished buying tickets, so I don't know if I can get on there and select a table. I don't want to spend any more money on this. But you can. So I know there are a lot of people out there who want the cage side. They want the VIP tables. And there are things you can do to get more information about that. Now, on the fight card here, the main event is a rematch between Dan Casper and Tyler Jones. I don't know if anybody saw the first bout that those two had, but if you didn't, you most definitely want to watch the rematch. All right? Also, pro fights on the card, we have Jake Constant and Fernando Torres. We have Kyron Bowen and Tyrone Page, Sammy Rogers and Matt Howell. Amateur fights down here, we have Dan Hastings and Osha Johnson, Brody Shipley and Jonathan Gooch, Elena Jack versus Angie Jackson. Kyle Nolte, to my knowledge, doesn't have a partner yet. We'll see if we can find more information, or not really a partner, an opponent. We're not looking for people to go skipping to Malou with here. Travis Smith versus Rocky McGahee, Jessica Owens, and Cyia Oliver. We're going to talk to Cyia Oliver about that fight coming up. Also, James Williamson and Tristan Handy, Michael Priest versus Jeremy Green. You heard those two Hanyakers on the last show. These two guys used to train together, and they've been friends for a long time, but they've always wanted to fight each other. Now they train at separate gyms. They're part of separate teams, and so we're going to see a good old-fashioned slobber knocker in the cage with Michael Priest and Jeremy Green. Also featuring Zach Jones here, Lane Carter, Jory Johnson, and Jonathan Verdier. I don't know if he pronounces that like a Frenchman, but if he does, I nailed it. If not, I got it wrong. So we'll have to get more information on that last name. But that is going to be Fort Smith Fight Night, December 16th. I'm excited. I don't know about the rest of you. Also, after it's over, at Saki Sushi and Martini Bar, there is a VIP after the Fight Night drink specials. You can meet the fighters, and you can meet the women of Soar as Hell Entertainment. We're going to go see the ladies. So that's going to be after the event is over and done with. Personally, that's something I always tried to lobby for with XFI, was an after party. But there was always talk of everybody's going to be amped up and everybody's going to want to fight each other and they're all going to be drunk. I mean, come on, people, we're adults. You know, that's how we have to carry ourselves. So if you're a Sore as Hell Entertainment fan, if you're a Fort Smith Fight Night fan or attendee or both, and you go to Saki Sushi and Martini Bar, just act your age. That's all we got to do. If we run this, then we're never going to be able to do it again. And local MMA is something that everybody puts a lot of stock into. We love it. We begged for years to see it back in Fort Smith, and now it's coming back. It's going to be here on December 16th at Fort Smith Fight Night. So excited. I don't even know what to do with myself. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk to a man named Jimmy Scott. Jimmy's down there, down Booneville way, and he is the owner, sole proprietor of Jimbo's Dojo down in Booneville. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my old button here, and I'm going to see if I can bring Jimmy on the line. Jimmy, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
All right, so let's talk about Jimbo's Dojo. You know, we're talking about Cyia. We're going to talk to Cyia here in just a little bit. First of all, tell us a little bit about Jimbo's Dojo. Tell us a little bit about what type of training you provide, and then we'll get into talking about Cyia.
Okay, we're training a little bit of Muay Thai and boxing and kickboxing and doing some grappling and, you know, just mixing it up.
That's good. So how long have you been doing this?
About 10 years now.
Okay, good. So you've got some experience in this, and then now you've got Cyia Oliver. She is under your tutelage. How did you get hooked up with Cyia?
Well, me and her mother went to school together, and we just become acquaintances not too long ago, and she was talking about wanting to fight, and so we just hooked it up, you know.
Okay, and so as far as training her goes, you know, you guys have been doing this for a little while, and this is actually going to be her debut. What's it been like training her, and how ready do you think she is to make this debut?
I'm pretty sure this girl's ready right now. She is. She's got some pop. She's ready to go battle right now, and she's doing real well.
That's good. Yeah, and you know, I was going to say she's pretty high energy. The first thing that came to my mind when I talked to her on the phone was high speed, and that's a little term that we folks from the military know that term. We use that term for people who are just raring to go constantly. And when I talked to her on the phone, I thought, this is somebody who's high speed. You know, I mean, sometimes we have people who we see get in the cage. They never make a sound. They never talk to anybody. They don't make a peep, and then we don't know what's going to happen once they get in that cage. And then I talked to Cyia on the phone the other day, and I thought, she's ready to go. Like, if there's no, I don't question her confidence level at all. Is that something that you've kind of seen from her the same?
Oh, definitely. She's very confident and very ready to go, I'm pretty sure.
Awesome. I mean, I'm ready to see her in the cage. I know I love it when somebody's making a debut and they're coming out to show off their craft and their skills for the very first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring her on. And Cyia, are you with us now?
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Perfect. We're probably going to have a little tag team here. Cyia Oliver is joining us right now on the Fort Fights podcast, and she is from Booneville, Arkansas. And I'm not going to tell your life story for you, Cyia, but here's the deal. I'm going to let you do it. I know we talked about this. We have a 2-hour show. We don't have to fill 2 hours, but we damn sure can. So one thing I like, and this is just from a spectator's standpoint, I was a spectator long before I ever got involved with MMA, and I was more on the business side than anything. But one thing I like to know is someone's life story. And I'm not saying we have to go down, it was a Thursday and rainy and you were coming through. Well, we don't have to go back that far, but give us a little bit of your background. Tell us about where you've come from and the things that you've done in life and what got you to this point.
Well, you know, I'm from Booneville. My mom actually moved me to Russellville when I was 14, and I've always been a very big athlete, you know, from gymnastics, 9.5 years, to, you know, packing 20 seasons of softball in a matter of 15. Ended up making it to Hutchinson, Kansas for the Fast Pitch World Series when I was 14. So I've always been a very big athlete. I've watched the UFC, I mean, back to the third season with Michael Bisping. As soon as I started watching this stuff, it was kind of like an obsession. but never really tapped into anybody that had the source to it. So, you know, time went by, got out of high school, worked a lot of different jobs, and then I hit a rough patch for a couple years. Got into some things that really drug me down, and ended up, you know, in a place where it only took me one time to learn that I never wanted to go back to. You know, I've been good and stayed out of trouble for the last 2 years, and started working at Butterball in Ozark. You know, ran across Jimmy. You know, we were standing in line waiting to clock in one morning. He goes, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, you know, the first initial thought is, who is this huge guy? You know, and he'd asked me how my mom was doing. You know, we just got to talking, and I mentioned one day, you know, about, you know, watching Rousey on the TV. And he said, "Well, have you ever thought about fighting?" And I said, "Every day of my life." And, you know, then, of course, the girlfriend is standing behind me in the line, and she goes, "Well, I guess, you know, you found somebody that you can get into it with." And it just went from there. Since then, you know, I've just been obsessed. You know, making sure I'm getting in shape, hitting a heavy bag every day, you know, picking it up, slamming it, running a mile every day. Just really doing everything that I can do to ensure a win. And not only that, but, you know, give myself a good birthday present since, you know, the 15th weigh-in day is my birthday. So, you know, hopefully we can come out on top, you know, and all the hard work's done good, and bring our first win to the gym.
Yeah, and so that was a couple of things we were talking about on the phone. And then I was going to ask you before you started mentioning a couple of things. What are some of the things that Jimmy's got you doing? I know we talked about the heavy bag, and you know, there's got to be some other stuff there. You know, a lot of the training that some of the people do and some of the fighters do, some of it can be MMA specific, and some of it can be just conditioning specific. So, what areas do you focus on as far as being in the cage goes? I mean, are you more of a grappler, more of a submission type? I mean, what are some of the things you've been working on?
Well, you know, one of the good things with me is, you know, as a fighter, you know, you ask that, what are you best at? For me, the best thing is I can stand up with you. I can go to the ground with you. It doesn't matter to me. You know, the initial thing is, you know, when you hit somebody, they're either going to do one or two things. They're either going to hit you back or they're going to back up. And so I'm kind of preparing myself for anything, you know, and that's the thing about it is, you know, as a fighter, you don't want to focus on one thing. You want to focus on everything in general.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. There are some people who are just, you know, I mean, they're fighting, their styles haven't lasted too long around here, but we have seen some people who are more focused on standing up, and then when they get to the ground, they don't know what to do. And there are some people who are stronger on the ground, and they wind up getting knocked out when they're on their feet. So, you know, it's just kind of hit or miss. But you know, I'm excited to see you in the cage. But now let me ask you, how did you get hooked up with Sore as Hell Entertainment? Like, how did you know you're down in Booneville? You're basically, I mean, people are looking at this slideshow. We've got a lot of people listening live right now. People are looking at the slideshow. They're seeing pictures of you. And I've actually had a couple of people message me this week and saying, is that chick training in her backyard? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. So tell us a little bit about that and how that's going. How'd you get hooked up with Sore as Hell, going from a backyard to an actual cage fight?
Well, you know, I do have to say I owe about 99% of that to a buddy of mine, Leonard Daines, that would happen to be Tyler Beowulf Jones's uncle. Tammy, his mom, Tammy James Wigley's mom, grandma. So it's kind of a, you know, in Booneville, it's all tight knit. We're all kind of family here, and so I owe a lot of Sore as Hell Entertainment, you know, that opportunity to Leonard Daines. You know, he's done as much work with Jimmy as far as the promotion side and getting my name out there. You know, Leonard Daines has told me I can have you a fight every month until you go pro if you want to. So we're looking at, you know, a lot of people coming together and just really being behind me. You know, like you said the last time we talked, Booneville's a treasure trove of fans. So it goes from Leonard, you know, to Jimmy, my trainer, to my buddy Gary at work, who's getting his manager's license in May, so he can, set up a lot of fights for me. So a lot of Sore as Hell entertainment goes to Leonard.
Yeah, I mean, Leonard's a great guy, and that whole family, Tyler's family, a lot of people, people who listened when we used to talk XFI, they're going to know this story. They probably haven't thought about it in a long time, but it's going to ring a lot of bells once I mention this, and you don't know it yet, so you're going to hear it for the first time. But my first encounter with Tyler's family, I didn't know who they were, any of them. I had no clue. And so I was at the convention center, I think the morning of one of the events, or maybe it was before weigh-ins, the morning before weigh-ins, or the morning of weigh-ins. And this sweet lady walked up to me, sitting at a table, and she said, I can't remember how many it was, but basically it was, can I buy a shitload of tickets? And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this lady? And so she, not only did she buy a bunch, but she was going to turn around and get those, resold so she could recoup her money. But she had already paid XFI for those tickets, and she walked away, and I thought, who in the hell was that? I mean, they seriously bought like 30 tickets in one, just walked up to the table and bought a bunch of tickets. And somebody explained to me, they said, Tyler Jones? And I said, yeah, I've heard the name a couple times. And this was right when I first got started with XFI. And they said, well, that's Tyler's grandmother. I said, where in the hell is she from? Like, she just came out of nowhere and bought a ton of tickets and ended up selling every single one of them and came back for more that night at weigh-ins and bought more tickets. And then I think she came back the morning of the event and bought even more tickets from us. So that's why I've said, anytime you're on Highway 71 and you're going south, anytime you're headed down that direction, you're finding nothing but MMA fans. I mean, there are a ton of people who love MMA, and they're fighters from down there, and we've seen people come from great gyms down there. And so Booneville's a great area, and I'm glad that you're probably going to have a lot of support coming out of Booneville, and I'm excited for that because that's going to make for a great crowd. And so, yeah, I mean, Booneville's perfect. But, yeah, I'm glad you got hooked up with that family, and I know Leonard has been doing a lot lately. I've noticed a couple of things. When I kind of faded away from MMA, I didn't notice much anymore, but I've noticed Leonard, he's usually always on the local MMA scene, and he's looking for great matchups for people, and if a promoter reaches out to somebody, he's usually the first one to say, hey, I need a 145 pro to I've got an 0-1 who needs a debuter or something like that, and it always makes sense. It always looks good to me, and so that's a good family. Now I'm going to ask you on the subject of that family, what do you think about Tyler and Dan Casper going at it for this big rematch?
He is my family. He's my cousin, so I'm behind him 100%. And you did tell Jimmy you made a comment about my confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a replay. I mean, I hate to say this, but you beat somebody once, you can beat them again. All right, everybody's human. We breathe the same. We bleed the same. The only thing that will be different is if this guy's drive and that loss has taken him over to the point of he has worked to the point of, just sweat and blood to work for this fight. Tyler's a damn good competitor. He had a couple belts at the same time. I mean, I remember at one point, he was looking at Bellator. I'm not really sure what happened with that. But I know that, Tyler's going to stick to what he knows. He's going to go in there. He's going to be patient. He's going to pick his shots. If it goes to the ground, it goes to the ground. If he stands up, he's already stood up with this guy once and beat him. So he definitely has a shot at doing it again.
Yeah, and, I'm really excited for Tyler. Tyler's a great fighter. I mean, we've seen Tyler. He can do a lot of things. And the best fight I probably ever saw with Tyler was his very first fight with Bud Bogan. Those two guys came into the cage. I don't know if you can find two fighters with more heart than those two. And even like with Tyler, we saw with Tyler, a lot of the things are kind of like what we talked about last week with Michael Priest being on the show. A lot of these young guys are going through a lot of life changes, and Tyler went through a lot of life changes. There are a lot of these guys who, the last time I saw them, they were happy and healthy and married or almost married, and they were brand new parents, and now they've been parents for a little while. They're finding themselves on the single parent spectrum of the deal, and so it's kind of a different ball game, and those things can take a toll on people. And so I'm hoping that we can see the Tyler Jones that we saw that I knew years ago, and I hope we can see somebody come out with a lot of heart. But you don't want to sell Dan Casper short. Dan Casper's tough, and he's always a great competitor, and I've always had a lot of respect for Dan Casper, and so I'm definitely excited to see that. Now, about your fighter, I'm getting a lot of echo. I don't know if somebody's got me on speaker or not, but we need to turn that off if we can. But now, your opponent, have you heard much from your opponent at all?
No, and that's the thing. I haven't heard not a peep. And the thing with that is I think that might be, I don't know if it's a tactic. I don't know if what's really going on with that. But, I do know that she trains out of a gym, Iron Core Gym out of Siloam Springs. I've looked her up on Facebook. I've seen how she's built. I know that she's going to be in shape. She looks like she might have a small reach on me. But I think it's going to be a good fight. It's both, we're both coming in. It's both of our debut, which makes it honestly a little easier for me as far as mentally. I don't think I could foresee making a debut for myself with a fighter that was 3-0 or even 2-0. Because I feel like I'd be selling myself short. I'm a good fighter. I've had a lot of fights without gloves on. I've got the big old honking nose to prove it. But I definitely think that it's going to be a battle of style, a battle of conditioning, and strength. Because, the people that I've fought in my past normally haven't been anything less than 20 pounds heavier than I am. But, I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be a good fight for me. And I think, we'll both definitely take something from it, regardless win or lose. Our second fight, if I lose, I'll come back harder. If I win, then it's just, the next fight's going to be just as good, if not better.
Yeah, carrying a lot of momentum over. So, you're going up against Jessica Owens. I see there's an S on her name on the actual card here. On Facebook, there's not an S on the end of her name, so I'm kind of confused. Now, I did shoot her a message this week. I tried to get in contact with her, and I know I said I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to go chasing fighters down, but I did, just for the sake of having you on the show, I did shoot her a message. I wanted to kind of get a little input from her. She never responded to me, and so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. In my experience, I've seen this happen a lot of times where a fighter knows who they're going to face, and someone reaches out to them about the fight. They never get back to anybody, and then they wind up pulling out or not showing up. So not saying she's going to do that, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. So I hope if she knows where to listen to this, and if she is listening, hopefully she'll get in contact with me at some point this week. So now we've got Jimmy. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. We talked about Jimbo's Dojo. Cyia, I seriously appreciate you coming on, and I wish you nothing but luck, nothing but the best in your very first fight. You've got 13 days left. Before we give some shout-outs here, are you at your fight weight, or are you cutting right now, or where are you at on that?
Man, when I started training, I weighed 120 pounds, and a lot of that is due to my job. I told you before, I'm the only girl lung gunner out of about 150 to 170 employees. So I was a little small at first back in October, but, I'm at fight weight right now. I shoot between 125 and 128. Thanksgiving I hit 129, but my mother and my father gave me such a fast metabolism that I can lose 3 pounds in a night. But any given day I'm at fight weight, so I'm ready, man. I'm just eating beans and cornbread. We're down here in the country, so we're corn-fedding it up.
I like that. In fact, that actually sounds pretty good. Now, I tell you what, I'm going to do the same thing. I know you probably listened to last week's show. I told you to jump on there and give that a listen. And so before we cut you loose, I'm actually going to ask Jimmy first. Jimmy, do you have anybody you want to give any shout-outs to before we let you go?
I just appreciate Leonard Danes for all the information he gave us, and we're just ready to go, man. This girl's got some pop.
Awesome. That's Jimmy Scott with Jimbo's Dojo. And so now, Cyia, one last thing before we cut you loose. Who do you have shout-outs for? Friends, fans, family, anybody who's going to show up and see you for the first time, or people who have known you your whole life? What do you want to say?
Oh man, I wanna give a big shout out. First and foremost to my team, to my mom, Susie. You can look her up on Facebook, Susie QZ. She's a Spitfire. She's probably going to be the loudest middle-aged woman out in the crowd. I want to give a big thanks and appreciation to my girlfriend because, if happy wife, happy life, let's put it that way. So she
Right.
kind of gave me the go-ahead on this, and my family, my friends, the fans that have, jumped on the bandwagon to come along, you for putting this out there. I mean, like you said, fighters promote themselves, but without people like you, it wouldn't be possible. So pretty much anybody and everybody that's been involved, I want to give a big shout out and a thanks to.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, and I'm glad that we could do something like this for you guys. And honestly, I had a lot of people in the last probably 2 months who have said, "Man, you have got to bring the podcast back." And a lot of people know it. TodayInFortSmith.com. Dennis McCaslin and I, we just started the Today in Fort Smith venture that we're on now. It's turning out great so far. We've only been doing it for 4 weeks, and we've got all kinds of projects going on. We're broadcasting high school basketball. We've got the Fort Fights podcast now. We have our own internet radio channel. There's just all kinds of things we can do. In fact, the fights, I don't know, there may be some people to talk to. We might be able to come out and do a live remote from the fights. We've got our company hotspot. We've got our broadcasting equipment. That's something we can put out there. We can put it on TodayInFortSmith.com. We can get everything out there for the public. But I'm just glad we can do it, and I'm glad that you took time to get on the show, and I appreciate you reaching out to me about it. And that is the key. I said it on the last show, fighters have got to promote themselves. And I know that you guys have a lot going on right now. Some fighters are cutting weight. Some fighters, this is just a really stressful time in their life. But you still have to promote yourself in some kind of way. So, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Tell your girlfriend I appreciate her letting you take the time out for this. Tell Susie QZ that if I'm ever down Booneville way, I want some beans and cornbread. And if you need anything at all, you let me know what that is and just shout out to me. You've got my phone number. You've got me on Facebook. You know exactly where to find me. Or next Saturday, we're going to have another show here. The Fort Fights podcast is going to be back. So you know the call-in number. If you want to call in and say something else, you're more than welcome to. Sound good?
Sound good, man.
All right, well, you have a great rest of your weekend and a great Monday tomorrow. I know the temperature's dropping on Tuesday, so being 125 pounds, don't get cold out there, okay?
All right, thank you, man, and happy holidays.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it. Happy holidays to you, too. Folks, that is Cyia Oliver fighting out of Booneville. We just talked to her for a little bit. If you're just now jumping into the show, we talked to Jimmy Scott from Jimbo's Dojo down in Booneville. He's got a fighter named Cyia Oliver. They got in contact with Leonard Danes, part of the Tyler Jones fight camp, and they have got them hooked up with Soares Hell Entertainment. Speaking of Soares Hell Entertainment, we're going to talk to you here in just a second about a couple more things. I do have another guest to bring on the show here in just a second, but before I bring him on, we've got a little bit of information. This is the Fort Fights podcast on blogtalkradio.com. We are brought to you by TodayInFortSmith.com, presented by the Soares Hell Entertainment and the Soares Hell Entertainment Project. That's actually just the Soares Hell Project. There's a lot of stuff going on. Soares Hell has a ton of things going on. So the Soares Hell Project, we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a second. And we're sponsored by Southern Trading and Pawn, located at 4621 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, at the corner of Towson and Phoenix. Go see Vernon and his crew. The Pawn Shop Quartet is all I like to call them. They'll probably sing to you out there. And or you can give them a call at 479-434-4830. So on the subject of Soares Hell, if you want to buy tickets to anything they've got going on, we've got the Veterans Benefit Concert. We've got Fort Smith Fight Night. Those two events, respectively, are coming up on December 15th and 16th. One is 12 days from now. One is 13 days from now. The concert comes first. Brooke White and The Ritual and 357. We're going to see them for the concert, and then we're going to see Fort Smith Fight Night. We've got our main event is a rematch of Dan Casper and Tyler Jones. Also, we have a VIP after the fight party at Saki Sushi and Martini Bar, where you can meet the ladies of Sore as Hell Entertainment. And so what I'm going to do right now, I'm pretty sure we've got Clay Shackelford on the line. Clay, are you with me?
I am, brother.
Hey, Clay Shackelford. Yeah, you're an assistant coach at Family Combat Fitness and an expert, local MMA analyst. What do you see coming up here? I mean, this is a huge event. Give us a little bit of background on this Fort Smith Fight Night.
Well, I mean, to put it in a nutshell, the new era is definitely upon us. You know, we're fast forward a few years since there's been some groundwork to do something like this, and the main thing is there's a lot of old grudges coming back. There's some new ones being made. There are people who want blood, and it's not just the fans.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's a lot of fighters. You know, there is a lot of unfinished business, and I've seen a lot of this on Facebook. You know, Facebook is a breeding ground for getting fights, I don't know, at least talked about, not necessarily started, because a lot of them never wind up happening. But, you know, I've seen a lot of people in the last few weeks talking about, when do I get this guy? When do I get that guy? And then they'll tag you, or they'll tag some promoter from out of town about, let me get this on the card, and let me get a fight with this guy. And, you know, so there's a ton of that going on. But what are some of the fights on this card that are really an eyebrow raiser?
Whew. Man, you know the Dan Casper Tyler matchup, Tyler Jones. You know, obviously those guys. I've talked to both of them several times. You know, Dan Casper, he's a Marine Corps veteran. You know, I got a lot of respect for him as well. He's a top-notch A+ person, no doubt about it. And Tyler, I can say the same thing about him. A+ guy, good fighter. I've trained with him a little bit. I've sparred with him a little bit. Man, he's got big hands for a guy his size. You know, he does well with it. You know, he's not afraid to take a shot. He's not afraid to trade shots with you, and I like that. I like that about Dan as well. That's what makes good fights. You know, another matchup that I've been looking at. You've got what's his face? Shoot, I'm sorry. There's so many of them. There's somebody on that card that's going to be good.
Jake Constant. How about we talk about Jake?
Here's the thing. Let me get to Jake here in a minute. Kyron Bowen. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. Kyron. Okay. He's a kid from Springfield. He's one of our Illinois transplants there at the gym. There's a number of them. You know, he's trained with a lot of different people from Hoist Gracie himself, Matt Hughes. The list goes on and on. He spent more time at big camps, more than myself. I mean, he's right up there with Brian Foster as far as time that he spent with people who know better. Okay. He's fighting a kid from Batesville. His name's Tyrone Page. All right, Tyrone. He's a solid fighter. He's fighting up in weight class on this one. The main thing is he knocked out Chase Smith. Okay, and for everybody listening, you know that means something. That means a lot. Okay, so disregard, you know, who he's beat, who he's not beat. He's beat that guy and knocked him out cold, killed him in there. Okay. So I'm going to tell you right now, fireworks on that one. Kyron's got the reach advantage. He's a big, tall, rangy 170er. Gives everybody trouble on the ground, on the feet. It's just, you know, his limbs go that much further. It's unfair. Okay, but I'm telling you right now, Page has got knockout power in both hands. He, you know, if he wants to come and bring it that night, he's got a damn good chance of putting Kyron on his back and leaving him there.
Man, I mean that just excited me. I've seen Tyrone in action before, and just like you talked about, that is something to note, that he has knocked out Chase Smith. That's one of those things that just doesn't happen. You just don't knock out Chase Smith, and when that does happen,
Chase is one of those. Chase is one of those guys. He's for the smaller weight classes, you ain't ever seen a guy hit that hard. Okay, now he's a human. He's got a chin. You know, he's got a button. If you hit it, he might go down, which he did in that case. But I'm telling you right now, dude's got a heart of gold. He works his ass off in the gym, outside the gym. You know, he does everything the right way for the right reasons, and that's the guy to be scared of. It's not the guy who's all talk and's got a lot of power. It's the guy who just does everything the right way.
Mm-hmm. I understand. What else are we looking at on this fight card? Sammy Rogers and Matt Howell, Jake Constant, Fernando Torres.
Sammy Rogers versus Matt Howe. That's another good one, man, out of the small weight class. And I know I'm talking about Chase. He's not even on the card. That's how important he is.
Right.
Chase, Matt Howe, Sammy Rogers. Okay, that matchup right there. As you mentioned in the last podcast, Sammy is coming off of multiple tragedies in his life. He's got things that need to get out of his system. All right. Now, I don't know if one fight's going to do it. There's a good chance this dude's going to have to just dig in and find a way to keep moving on. Okay. And that's what the fight game's about. It gives people a chance to keep moving on, to just push past things that are really bothering them and take it out on somebody else, or take it out on the bag, take it out on the whatever. Okay. But don't take it out on your family, type, mentality. But the main thing is, Matt Howe, okay, crafty jiu-jitsu guy, okay. He did real well at the grappling tournament that Sore as Hell hosted at the Convention Center September 23rd. He did real well there. He kind of came off the couch, just gave it all, did real well. He's a clever guy, okay. He's one of those guys, he might not be known for knockout power. He might not be known for just, incredible athleticism. But what he is known for, and I know everybody who's listening who knows him, he knows what I'm talking about. He's a good guy who does it the right way, does the right things, okay? He's a clever grappler. There's a good chance. What's my prediction on that one? I love both of them, and if both of you are listening, I love you, okay? But I'm gonna say Matt Howe, rear naked choke.
That's pretty bold.
Man, it's bold. Just I know them. I know both of them. I mean, it's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a good fight.
After we've seen Sammy Rogers, Sammy has finished 3 fights that I know of that I've watched in less than a minute combined, all 3 fights. So, if there is a dig-in period, then it's – I was going to say, if there is a dig-in period for this fight, they're both going to have to find it, because this is going to be a bull that they're both going to have to jump on, and it's not going to let up till it's over.
No, you're absolutely right saying that. No. Give me another name, brother. I forget. I'm driving. I'm in Northwest Arkansas. Forgive me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Jonathan Gooch. We're going to see the Gooch come back.
The Gooch, man. I haven't seen the Gooch fight. I've met him in person. From what I hear, hard-nosed kid. He's type of guy that, you can beat on him. He's not going away.
Yeah, but he's going up against Brody Shipley. Do you know anything about Brody?
No, I don't know a thing. Couldn't say a word.
I was going to say, I've never heard that name. I haven't seen him in action, so it's definitely going to be good to see. And a lot of people think that's a bad thing. They're like, well, somebody said they've never heard of me. That's not a bad thing. This is a chance for people to really get their name out there. And, the people are making their debut at least around Fort Smith, or if they fought here before, maybe people haven't heard of him yet. We're all fixing to see exactly who we're talking about. Further down the line, we have another Smith. We have Travis Smith against Rocky McGahee. What do you think about that one?
Okay, now I don't know much about Rocky, but I can tell you everything you want to know about Travis Smith, and everything on his scouting report is nothing but all right. He works very hard in the gym. He's one of the guys that I work with at Family Combat. He's lost maybe about 100 pounds. As far as personal achievement goes, that guy's already won the lifetime medal. I'm sorry, not too many people are going to do that. Not too many people are going to lose 100 pounds, let alone become a beast in the ring. All right. He's hard to shake, straight up. You can beat on him. He doesn't go away. If he gets tired, he hangs in there. If he's got to take a minute to catch his breath and collect himself and then, continue to fight, that's what he does, But, ultimately, I'm thinking this might be his debut MMA match, but he had a kickboxing match not too long ago. I think it might have been in Muskogee, Claremore, somewhere in that area. And he looked beyond salty. He looked for a debut matchup. I don't care how good or bad the guy was that he fought, but man, it was special. The kid. I think he knocked him out with a spinning back elbow. No big deal,
Now, I can capitalize a little bit on Rocky McGahee here. A lot of people know Rocky, and I've seen him fight before, but the one fight that I saw Rocky McGahee in was against Jared Biscetti out at the Fort Smith Convention Center, and here's how it went. Rocky came out smoking, and just whipping the fire out of Jared Biscetti. But here was the problem. Rocky didn't have the cardio for this fight. because as hard as he was whipping on Jared Biscetti, Jared wasn't ready to go down yet. So he basically just drained Rocky. And then by the end of the fight, Jared Biscetti ended up winning. I mean, for a couple of rounds, we think, man, we're going to see Rocky McGahee win this. He's going to it's going to be a unanimous decision. But when it was all said and done, Jared Biscetti came out on top, and Rocky McGahee couldn't even keep going. So I'm hoping that what we see out of Rocky is a little bit better cardio than what we saw last time. Now, a little bit further down here, we've got Michael Priest and Jeremy Green. I don't know if you got to listen to last week's podcast, but we talked to them, and they gave some specifics about their fights. What do you think about this one?
Man, it's a fun matchup when people know each other, when they might have trained together, they know each other's tendencies. You were just talking about, the guy talking about, well, hey, nobody knows who I am. That's great, man. Nobody's got any tape on you. Okay, you're a blank check. You can just write it for whatever value you want. Okay, the main thing is when you know who you're fighting, you know what they like to do, you know what they're going to try to do. It's like, is he, you start playing the mind games with yourself. You're going, hey, man, does he know that I know that he know? You know what I'm saying? It's like, is he going to come out and do what is expected, or is he going to have something different for me? And then, you can keep yourself up every night until the night of the fight thinking about this stuff if you let yourself. And it's one of those things where, I like it when people, I like the familiarity factor on this one, very much so. Probably will be blood on that one.
Now let's talk about something in a more broad spectrum here. Speaking of a clean slate and a blank check, the Sore as Hell project, Sore as Hell Entertainment. A lot of people, and I was kind of one of these guys. I just was kind of coming off the back end. I hadn't really been involved with MMA for about 3 years, and somebody said, "Hey, check this out, soreashell.com," and I was like, "What the hell is Sore as Hell?" I had no clue what it was about. Tell us a little bit about the Sore as Hell project. Tell us a little bit about Sore as Hell Entertainment.
Man, Sore as Hell, the way that name was brought up, it's like there's so many knockoff MMA names, Extreme Fight something, okay? And it gets old, man. It's so knockoff. It's so overplayed. No originality. Sore as Hell, when you think about it, what does every athlete in every sport have in common? Every one of them are sore. Every one of them, when it really comes down to brass tacks, every one of us can shake hands and say, yeah, man, this hurts. So does this, and so does this. Okay, all the guys who are really training hard, whether you do CrossFit, whether you're a roller derby girl, you play football at Greenwood, whatever it is, there are kids who are playing 10-year-old basketball, and they're going to identify with that, at least to a degree, at some point in their lives. So it's one of those things. It's a common ground type thing. All right, now, what is the Sore as Hell project? Man, what is it not? There's so much that's going into it. There's so much money being spent. There's so many people involved. First of all, it's a veterans company. It's for veterans by veterans. Okay, we're not trying to exclude anybody, but at the same time, if we're really going to take our hats off for anybody, I'm sorry, we're not going to do it for NFL players. Maybe Pat Tillman. Maybe anybody who played football who's now in the Marines now or now in the Army or they're serving now. That's different. But when it comes down to it, the heroes, they're not the athletes, man. The heroes, the hero word, we attach that to athletes all the time, and it's unfair. Mm-hmm. Okay, the real heroes are the people out there who they ain't going to be right in, or the guys who are in there right now. And even if they do come out, unscathed for the most part, there's a great chance, man, that somewhere in there they ain't right either. All right, and they're trying to stay right. They're doing what they can, but ultimately, battle fatigue and PTSD and shocks and all these things are very real. Okay, and for people who don't get it, you probably weren't meant to get it, and that's okay. All right, but the main thing is, if there's anybody who we need to be taken care of, it's our veterans. End of story.
Absolutely. And that takes me into the first thing we're going to see on December 15th, the night before the fights. This is our Veterans Benefit Concert. Brooke White and the Ritual and 357 are coming out. The doors are going to open at 6:30. The concert's going to begin at 7. And tickets are on sale at soreashell.com. How did this Veterans Benefit Concert come about?
Man, it's one of those things, as part of the Sore as Hell project, we're all about giving back, and it's not just about veterans, but, we haven't really kicked this off yet, but probably around January 1st, you're going to see much more community involvement. Okay, when I say that, you're going to see a lot more giving back. Okay, when it comes down to it, veterans and fighter types, the tough guy types. Yeah, some of them can be negative. Some of them can be people who are not productive in society. But a lot of these guys, ultimately they would be the backbone of our community in any kind of disaster situation. They would be they would be the people, who are running into a burning building, saving a family, saving a child, and where I'm going with this, we ultimately trying to get these guys involved where they're reaching out to the people who are not them, okay, where they're reaching out to the people who are, basically weaker than them. They don't have these abilities. They're not the backbone of our society, but they've still got a place. Okay, see about the main thing, there's people out there who need us, all right, and there's people out there who, if they had just a little bit of a helping hand, I bet you their life situation would very much improve.
Right. I'm with you, man. I think it's a great opportunity for a company like this, and I think it's going to be great for the community. And so we're going to see this on December 15th. We're also going to see Fort Smith Fight Night on December 16th. Now, Clay, before I cut you loose, man, we let you get back to driving and get back to your Sunday night. Tell us a little bit about oh, gosh. I had two different things, and I just lost my train of thought, and I don't know why I did that. I glanced down at my phone for 3 seconds. I got a message from a fighter.
I was talking
tell
too
us
much,
a little
man.
bit about – no, you're good. You're good. I just got sidetracked for a second. Tell us a little bit about kind of what's going on out at Family Combat Fitness. I talked about Brian Foster. I had Brian Foster on a couple of podcast episodes in the past. Always loved Brian Foster. He's a great guy. Now he's got Family Combat Fitness and MMA. And tell us a little bit about what's going on out there, a little bit about the work that you guys do with them.
Man, ultimately, Family Combat, it's all in the title. It's all about family. We're all about, establishing brotherhood, sisterhood. Everybody comes in there regardless if they're working, regardless of what their need is and where they're trying to go with this, we want to make them part of the family, okay? Now, it's one of those things where when it comes down to the MMA side of things, there's a lot of heavy leather thrown in there, man. There's a lot of guys who are bringing it in practice. There's, for anybody listening out there who thinks that they might or may not be in the right place for their training at, they go hard at Family Combat. All right, I mean, the jiu-jitsu classes are hard. The strength and conditioning is hard. The coaching is hard. Everything is hard because fighting is hard. Okay, it's, you can go to a gym and you can play jiu-jitsu all you want, but ultimately that's what you're doing. Okay, you're not really preparing for battle. You're preparing to play jiu-jitsu. Well, what happens when somebody's not playing jiu-jitsu with you? When somebody ain't playing with you, ultimately that's when you realize that, man, I've been playing. Okay,
right.
And there ain't nobody playing at Family Combat. There is nobody playing. I'm talking the people who come in and hit the heavy bag and that's it. They ain't playing with that heavy bag. You know what I mean? It's serious business. All right. The stakes have never been higher. Like I said, flash forward, we're 3-4 years down the road from last time we had a show, a local circuit here in Fort Smith. The stakes are higher, man. There's more gyms. There's more fighters. There's more beef. There's more people who are involved straight up, no matter where or when or how. All right, so ultimately, there is more pride on the line than there ever has been. Okay, and at Family Combat, we're all about meeting new people. We're all about bringing new guys in. We're all about taking them, on the speed that they can go. All right, but ultimately, if you walk through those doors because you wanted to become something that you are not today.
Exactly.
And that and ultimately, that's what martial arts is about, and that's what Family Combat is about, is evolution and becoming something greater than what you are right now.
Yeah, and I know I just saw a thing on Facebook. I don't remember exactly what it said, but they're doing a discounted membership from now until the new year. That's going to be at Family Combat Fitness and MMA. That's at 1105 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith. If you want more information, call 479-763-1540. Or just go walk in the door. Just go to 1105 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith, walk in the door and say, I want to be a part of this family. And I'm sure that they'll have enough information for you. They'll get you signed up. They'll get you ready to go, and they'll get you started with your training. And just like you said, Clay, if there are people out there, and I know there are, people out there who are training in absolutely the wrong spot. They're playing too much jiu-jitsu. They're playing wrestling. They're probably playing ping pong when it's all over with during the day. But if you're in the wrong spot and you want to get serious, go to Family Combat Fitness and MMA. And Brian Foster's got a great outfit out there. So now, Clay, before we turn you loose, I mentioned earlier that you're with Kevin Clifton Real Estate, your local market experts. Before we cut you loose, is there are there any shout outs you want to give anybody, friends, fans, or family?
Oh, sure. First of all, let me say this. Back to Brian Foster, okay? Now, those of you who don't know this, World Series of Fighting, okay, that's basically the third largest promotion in the world, okay, right behind Bellator and UFC. That transferred over. Now it's called Professional Fight League, okay? Randy Couture is involved. He's their commentator. Boss Rutan is one of their commentators. There's a lot of former UFC vets on there. There's a lot of names you're going to know. Brian is the number one seed in $1 million tournament, okay? And, for those who don't really know Brian and don't really know, his history and what he's done for the sport in our area, ultimately, when it comes down to Fort Smith MMA, that guy's taken it further than anybody has thought about taking it so far. Okay, so
right.
far, and I want to stress that, and Brian wants to stress that. He said, "Hey, so far, man, let's see who's next. Let's get these guys somewhere." All right, and that's what Sword of Hell is about. That's one of the aspects of this. Is this is a legit opportunity for these guys to not just step up to a higher playing ground, but to get to that next one as well. Okay, and we're all about helping hands. The main thing is, $1 million tournament, that's not just a game changer. That's a big freaking deal. All right, if that man wins that tournament, I ain't going to say he's set for life, but, it's $1 million. Okay, and he's a local guy. He's a local guy that started out a lot like these other guys. Now, granted, he turned professional right away. He had an extraordinary, just insane natural ability, and we haven't seen that again. And there's a good chance we might not in our lifetime. He's that good, okay. But ultimately, he's becoming more and more of a coach. He's becoming more and more, of a fight sage. He's a guy that's really, really, teaching you things that other guys aren't, okay. And I'm going to tell you this. I went back, me and Brian go back probably 10, 12 years now, maybe. When I first met him, and he's come so far, so have I as people and as fighters and as just men. But really, man, as soon as I met the guy, he broke down. He totally just tore apart my fight game. I thought I was kind of getting somewhere, maybe a little bit, but no, that guy, he just changed everything for me. He taught me exactly what I was doing wrong, almost within maybe a couple of workouts. Okay, now granted, there was a lot of things I still got to iron out. There's a lot of things I still work on personally, but ultimately, he got me on the right path. He took me off the wrong path and put me on the right one. And I know for firsthand knowledge, there are all kinds of guys, all kinds of good athletes in this area that they fit that criteria. They are somebody that's being taken down the wrong path, or they're getting half the information. Okay, so if you got a big test coming up, if you got a big test, a ACT test coming up, something that's going to be a big deal, and you're not studying for it, or you're only studying half the material, how well do you think you're really going to do? So why read half the book? Let's go ahead and read the whole book. Let's read another book and then go through it twice more. Okay, then you'll be ready. So
right.
Like I said, it's really, what is Family Combat about? It's about getting in there and doing it the right way for the right reasons. We don't take shortcuts. We're not trying to give guys, hey man, this is just a hobby. Okay, yeah. If you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get beat up. As an amateur, most likely. All right. There's guys who they don't get paid to do this, and they train like they're fixed to be in the UFC, man. Okay, and if you don't, if you're fighting on this card and you don't realize that, you're about to. You're going to see it firsthand, and I hope you're not one of the ones that's on the receiving end of that. That's all I can say. But ultimately,
right.
It's going to be a great show. Everybody's going to have a great time. The after-fight party, that's a big deal right there. Just like Clint said, everybody's going to have a great time. If we ruin it, well, we ruined it. Okay, so let's not do that. All right, the main thing, though, on my shout-outs, if anybody is looking to buy or sell a home I work for the best real estate group in the whole River Valley. Okay, we're the smallest real estate group that does the most business. If you're looking to buy or sell, we give you straight answers. We tell you what's up. We tell you exactly what you need to know. I save all the salesmen and all the stuff that you don't understand what I'm talking about. I save that for somebody else, and I just give everybody just the straight talk. This is what you need to know right here. And I'm telling you, that's what leads to home sales. An informed buyer or seller. That's what leads to a home sale.
That's right. I agree with that. Well, I'll tell you what, Clay, man, I appreciate you calling in. I want to try to talk to you here again on the show before the event goes down. 13 days, December 16th is when it's all said and done. So I know we may have a couple of changes to the fight card between now and then, hopefully not too many. That way we know exactly what all we're going to see and we don't have to do any scrambling. But I want to try to get you on, and I'll message you on Facebook about that. We'll try to get you on here before December 16th, and I just appreciate you taking time.
Hey, anytime, man. I always love having it.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Clay Shackelford. He works with Family Combat Fitness, and he is a local MMA analyst here, part of the Soars Hell Project, and he talked to us a little bit about the Soars Hell Project, and a lot of big things happening. I want to remind everybody that, if you didn't catch this from the beginning, at the beginning we played some music by the Violet Hour. If you guys don't know them, you probably should. You can find them online at thevioletourband.com. You'll always, anytime I'm involved with a podcast or a webcast or a broadcast, which I do a lot of those these days, you're going to hear the Violet Hour. You're going to hear music by the Violet Hour. So go to thevioletourband.com. I don't think they have any local shows left around here for the rest of the year. I know it's tonight. They're, I believe, they're either right now, I can't remember the time, they're getting ready to, or they're geared up for the Wired Insomnia podcast. Jake Gibson is the drummer for the Violet Hour Band, and they do a podcast on Spreaker.com every Sunday night. So you may want to flip over to Spreaker and type in Wired Insomnia. Look those guys up and listen to what they've got going on. This is the Fort Fights Podcast. We are on blogtalkradio.com, brought to you by todayinfortsmith.com. All your latest local news, weather, and sports, local only. And we are presented by Soars Hell Entertainment and sponsored by Southern Trading and Pawn, located at 4621 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, at the corner of Towson and Phoenix. Go see Vernon and the Pawn Shop Quartet, or call them at 479-434-4830. Soars Hell Entertainment. We've got a lot of big things happening. We've got the Veterans Benefit Concert coming up on Friday, December 15th with Brooke White and The Ritual and 357. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. The concert begins at 7 o'clock. If you need tickets, call 479-653-8554 or 479-251-0808 or visit soarshell.com. Fort Smith Fight Night, the following night, the night after Friday, February 15th. Cyia Oliver said that's her birthday. December 15th. Did I say February? I'm already trying to go into next year. Soars Hell has a lot of things coming up next year, January, February range. December 15th, right now, before we go into 2018, we still have business to tend to. December 15th, that's Cyia's birthday. That's my son's birthday. That's my great-grandmother's birthday. So we're going to talk about the Veterans Benefit Concert more in the following days. We've got a few days, 13 days left until the event comes up. The night after is Fort Smith Fight Night. I don't know. I meant to talk to Clay about tickets. We didn't get on that subject. General admission, $30, ringside, $50, VIP tables. I don't even know if they're still available. But you need to call and find out, or go to soarshell.com. And click on those event pages. Man, I'm a little disappointed here. I'm trying to get United States Martial Arts Hall of Famer Greg Squirrel, trying to get Greg on the show. You guys, like I mentioned, Greg and I used to co-host a podcast together. He used to come on XFI Live all the time, and we used to run the roads, go up to Muskogee for Strike King, Muay Thai, and kickboxing, where Greg was the ring announcer up there, and I was sitting cage side with one of the judges, and it was just a great event at Strike King and Muskogee. But I got to go out there and see Greg Squirrel in action. He had also been in action in Fort Smith previously at MMA events in the past, and So we miss Greg Squirrel. I know he put together his podcast again. The Greg Squirrel Show was back on the air at some point. I don't know what he's doing now. Greg Squirrel, man, he looked at one of my messages. I told him at 5:40 this afternoon, I said, call into the show. It starts at 6. I have a female fighter coming on at first, and we're going to talk to somebody else, then we can get you on. And he looked at that, Greg Squirrel. I see your little blip, your face next to those messages. I know you looked at that. Then I shot him a message with the call-in number, and I said, call the show, and he has not called in. Greg Squirrel's being elusive. It's hard to catch a squirrel these days. And so we're going to try to get Greg Squirrel on before it's all said and done. Maybe his podcast is going live later this evening. I know he sometimes does it on Sunday nights. We're going to try to talk to the elusive Gregory Squirrel. I know his mom's been going through some rough times, and she had been diagnosed with cancer, and so I know a lot of people have been sending their thoughts and prayers out to the Squirrel family. And Greg just lost his father a few years ago, and so, you know, they've had a rough time. But Greg Squirrel, he always comes back swinging, no pun intended. I know we're talking about the fight game here. We're talking about MMA. But Greg Squirrel's a fighter. His mom's a fighter. They've always been fighters. And so we're going to try to get Greg Squirrel on the show. We're going to cut loose for the day, for the weekend. I'm going to let everybody get back to their whatever you do on Sunday nights. If you have to watch a Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, I know she's probably got new episodes on. I'm just kidding. They've already hit my music. Usually when I start talking about Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, that's when the producer hits the music, and it's time for me to get the hell out of the studio. This is the Fort Fights podcast on blogtalkradio.com, brought to you by todayinfortsmith.com. Go to Today in Fort Smith on Facebook. Type in Today in Fort Smith. Like the page, please. We've got a lot of things going on there. And I think we've got another show set up for Saturday. We're going to have another female fighter on Saturday. And until then, my name is Clint Davis. I appreciate everybody listening. And we'll see you next weekend.